people don't know how to understand it. Too often, even in Washington today, there's recent legislation saying what we have to do is have price fixing, set prices. Well, no, we need some fixing, but we need some fixing on controls on the Federal Reserve. That's what we need to fix. Freedom, I mentioned just briefly a little bit about personal liberty and economic liberty. And I think one of the problems we've gotten into in this country is 100 years ago or so, our political system got mixed up. And one half of the political system decided that personal liberty was worth defending but not economic liberty. And another group decided economic liberty was worth fighting for but not personal liberty. And what we need to do as a nation, and what our Constitution does, is bring this idea of liberty back together. It is only one issue. It's not two issues. And it has to start with an understanding of where our liberties come from. I happen to have a strong belief that our liberties come from our Creator because they come to us naturally and we're born with them. Then you know that you have a right to read the books you want, the right to practice the religion you want, the right to spend your money the way you want, and also to make personal choices in your social life as you want. Now, the biggest hazard in politics when you endorse these views is people say, oh, you endorse what people do with their liberties. And that isn't the case. If I defend the right of your choice of religion, I don't individualize and say, well, I endorse all these religions, no. Or philosophically, you read philosophic books and you have beliefs, no. But as soon as it becomes social, so I am a defender, not because I'm a gambler, and not because I think it's the greatest way to spend time, but I defend gambling on the internet. And there's two reasons for that. One is, it's those people's money, they have a right to spend it as they see fit. It's a personal choice. But even the stronger reason why I'm so adamant about this is that I don't want the federal government come meddling with the internet one bit. Just like they wanted to change the law and make certain habits with alcohol and drugs, once they get involved in doing this, they always pick things that, the majority of people say, yeah, we don't need that. We need to, get rid of that. But I read an article by an individual that I highly respected, and he was making the claim that if the government wants to, it's not going to be that difficult to close down the internet. That, to me, would be very, very big and horrible news, because the internet has really been our saving grace right now. We have been able to get around. So it used to be said that we would know that we were in danger when the government came and knocked on our door and they took our guns and they took our gold. But boy, now if they come and take our guns and our gold and our computers, then we're really in big trouble in this country. But the goal that we have is to prevent that, because common sense can end all this ridiculous trend toward totalitarianism. And unfortunately, they're right now in the driver's seat. But the encouraging thing is there's a lot of people on our side. The numbers are great, much bigger than I ever dreamed, and they're growing by leaps and bounds. And I'm always asked, how did this come about? And I admit it's not the messenger, it's the message. The message is so powerful. But there's something else that's going on. The internet obviously was at the right place at the right time where we could use it. But I think something else has happened is the realization that the lies that we have been told, whether it's on foreign policy, or that the government's going to take care of us economically, or the government will take care of us, there's a flood or a hurricane and will come to your rescue, people are just saying, all you're going to do is spend more money, you won't do one thing to help us, just leave us alone and we'll take care of ourselves. This whole idea of freedom, it has been something that I've been fascinated with for so many years, but I've had a further education this past year by meeting so many people who are enthusiastic about it. But what I think is so great at the rallies and the groups and the speeches that I've given around the country are the people that come together. And a lot of times they would say, well, you know, you can spot a Republican crowd, they look this way, and you can spot a Democratic crowd, they look this way. Well, the one thing that's characteristic about our crowds is we look like everybody. It should be that way because we're non-threatening. The one absolute rule in a free society is you can't hurt other people, you can't take their property, and you got to follow the rules and follow your promises. But then, when it comes to what you do with your money, what you do with your social life, and that's your business. So we're not threatening to anybody, and therefore people come together that might not have any other reason to come together, no other reasons of agreement. But this is the most important issue to agree on. And that is the ideas of freedom and the concept of government. If we can agree on that, just think of how many wonderful things could happen. When a person is granted his freedom, or a country grants freedom to its people, what happens is it releases so much energy, it releases creative energy. And if we just look at what's happened in the campaign, it's been a tremendous release of energy that there was no way that we could have organized the campaign that we had. It came from the grassroots up, the fundraising and everything else came spontaneously because people weren't waiting for orders or instructed. And that's the way it's going to be after the campaign. That means I'm continuously asked, you know, what we do after the campaign. Is there going to be an organization? Sure, there's lots of things going to be on, and I've been doing what I've done for a long time, and I will continue, and I want to do my share. But when it comes to somebody saying, what do you want me to do? What's my job? There's no way I know that. Your job is what you decide your job is. I have a few suggestions. They made some suggestions to me many years ago, and that is the most important thing that all of us do is to make sure that we're well educated and understand the issues. And I am so pleased because I run into so many people, especially young college kids and others, who say, you know, I never heard of this Federal Reserve System, but I'm reading about that now, and it really makes a lot of sense. It's that kind of thing. Study and understand the monetary system, economic policy, why Keynesian economics don't work, why Austrian economics does work, why socialism isn't any good. Understand our history, and the founders were very brilliant and well educated in what the Constitution means, and not to go back and be static, but to go back and pick up the pieces. The revolution that we're all involved in is more or less just the love of freedom, the love of our traditions, and the love of America.